Hello and welcome to Face Off here on France 24. Next year's presidential election here in France will be unusual in many ways. In addition to the strong probability that the far-right leader Marine Le Pen will qualify for the decisive second round, there could be, for the first time in the Fifth Republic, a socialist candidate beaten by someone else on the left. Indeed, two serious contenders are emerging on the left. One on the far left in the person of the surging candidate Jean-Luc Mélenchon, and one on the center left with the up-and-coming ex-economy minister Emmanuel Macron. With me to discuss those possible alternatives on the left, Philip Turl from Radio France Internationale, Jean-Marc Gonin with the Figaro magazine. So historically, on the left, the dominant party has been the Socialist Party. The Socialist Party will designate its own candidate for next year's presidential election through a primary contest to be held in January. However, this candidate may well make history, not in the right way, but in the wrong way, by ending up behind the newcomers on the left. Jean-Luc Mélenchon on the far left, Emmanuel Macron on the center left. To figure out why this could happen, let's take a look at polls taken at the end of October. They show clearly that for the presidential election, the two candidates who would qualify for the second round would be the conservative candidate and the far right candidate. But on the left, among the three possibilities, Emmanuel Macron and Jean-Luc Mélenchon would arrive in front of François Hollande if the president decides to run, but also other socialist contenders. And this is clearly new on the left, Jean-Marc Gonin.
Yes, this is clearly new because, as you said before, the Socialist Party has been for the last 45 years the dominant political force on the left. And suddenly this party and its huge organization is being challenged by two loose guns who are who would qualify ahead of any candidate from the Socialist Party. And this is really, this bodes very ill for the Socialist Party because it could imply its death. Loose guns, I said, because Jean-Luc Mélenchon is a former member of the Socialist Party. He founded his own party, the Party of the Left. But in fact, he wanted to attract the communists behind him to have some kind of structure, national structure, to support his candidacy. It failed because the head of the party said Jean-Luc Mélenchon is our candidate, but the party itself, the apparatus, said no to that. So he's a loose gun in a sense because he has no real national political force behind him. And Emmanuel Macron is still playing with the idea. Obviously, he will announce at the beginning of December that he's going to run, but he's also a man without a party. He comes from the entourage. He was one of the advisors of François Hollande. He's been a minister, but he was never organized in the party as itself. But he attracts more voters than the prime minister or the president, and this is terrible news for the party.
Yes, just before we get to you, Philip, let's take a listen to Emmanuel Macron speaking very recently last weekend at a rally of his movement in Paris.
I organized a meeting with the executives and supporters of our movement, and I've told them that I will make a decision by Christmas.
My mistake, it was actually during a trip in Tunisia. After a rally this Tuesday, his entourage is saying that he will say within a month whether he'll run or not, but it seems pretty clear he wants to run. He believes he can be a new force on the left, but also on the center. As Jean-Marc was saying, history shows that when you don't have a strong party apparatus behind you, those kinds of adventures end badly.
Well, I don't think Emmanuel Macron thinks it's going to end badly. I think Emmanuel Macron is a creation of the left. That's what I've always thought.
Of François Hollande, we might as well say.
He encompasses everything that François Hollande is not or has never been. And I think there is also a general fatigue in this country with people always seeing the same politicians all the time. On the right, they've got Nicolas Sarkozy going back again. This will be his third presidential election, maybe even more than that. And we've got Alain Juppé, he was prime minister 30 years ago, who's coming back to try to be president. So the people want something new. They want somebody new to have faith in. And Emmanuel Macron is this young, dynamic, good-looking banker who suddenly appeared from nowhere and became in charge of finances in the government. And I think he thinks that because he was so popular in the government that he has a chance of running. The problem is, will he be able to run if François Hollande runs as well? Because the more candidates there are from the left, the more this is going to disperse the amount of votes on the left, and that's going to make it even more difficult for any of them to make it through from the first round to the second round of the presidential election. So I think what both Emmanuel Macron on the centre-right and Jean-Luc Mélenchon on the left want to do, they want to try to secure their support base to make it so they are sure to have enough people to vote for them so that it will virtually be impossible for François Hollande, as he's so low in the opinion polls, to run again, and he will not run. But my gut feeling is that François Hollande will want to run because there's never been a case in France where a former president in office hasn't tried to obtain a second mandate.
Right. The problem for him is that it's not his decision only. He's accepted to go through a primary contest to be held in January, which is already a kind of humiliation for him. But nevertheless, he has to go through this. And as Philip was saying, maybe the others are already throwing their hat into the rings in the hope that he will eventually back down.
Yes, there are a lot of people betting that he won't run. I think that Philippe is right. He has really a kind of need to run again. But he will be...
the polls are abysmal for him.
Abysmal, absolutely abysmal. He has a popularity that is almost negative in the sense below zero. Is
like 11%.
Yeah, well, and he have a voting intention of 4%. I mean, this has never been seen before. So he has got no chance. And I think now people close to him now give sound bites that try to push him into renouncing. You see that close allies, people who have been working for him for years now, try to tell François Hollande, please do not run. You will be humiliated, and you won't do the left a good service if you run.
And there's something else as well, and that is the fact that it's not only Emmanuel Macron on the centre-right and Jean-Luc Mélenchon on the left. Within the Socialist Party itself, there are people who are saying, well, I should be the candidate. I'm better at it than François Hollande would be. I'm a more suitable candidate, and I can reunite the left under my candidacy. One of them being Arnaud Montebourg, who's a former member of the government and is now a backbencher rebel within the Socialist Party, who would also like to win the primary and beat François Hollande and become the candidate. He thinks he's got more of a chance of bringing the left together than Jean-Luc Mélenchon has. So the stakes are still quite wide open.
Right. Jean-Luc Mélenchon, we talked a lot about Emmanuel Macron. Jean-Luc Mélenchon, he ran in the last presidential election. He scored 11%. He was never able, I would say, to capitalize on this, even though capitalize is not a good word for someone from the far left. But nevertheless, he's faring quite well in the polls without the support of a strong party apparatus because he probably is able to collect some of the anger that's majorly been going to the far right until now.
Yeah, he does, and for good reasons. He has stamina and he has talent. The man has talent. He's a good speaker. He has charisma, and he is a symbol. France, as always, in part of its soul, it still has the sort of revolutionary spirit from the Bastille Day spirit. Let's speak like this. And Mélenchon is the one who really embodies that sort of energy, saying France will never accept free trade the way it's done today, globalization. He's the man for that kind of strong sentences, strong lines, and it works. But it works to a certain extent because you have also a huge part of the voters on the left. You think, well, this is passé. I mean, this is suicide to have policies determined with such criteria. So he can make now 15%. That's what the intentions are. As he's a good campaigner, he might even increase this, and he might, at the end, be the stronger of the stronger candidate on the left.
But in the end, whatever happens, as things stand right now, the leftist candidate, be it Emmanuel Macron, François Hollande, or Jean-Luc Mélenchon, would be eliminated.
That's true. I don't think Jean-Luc Mélenchon has what it takes to get very far in the presidential election. I don't think he has any chance of getting through to the second round, that's for sure, because he's too much of a divisive figure. You know, he didn't, as Jean-Marc was saying, he didn't get the support of the Communist Party, which even the leader of the Communist Party asked them to support Jean-Luc Mélenchon, and they decided not to, which is disavowing the leader of the Communist Party by his own troops. And it's because Jean-Luc Mélenchon went and called them a bunch of idiots at some point. I mean, so he's a divisive character who can't bring people together, and he's known for being quite difficult. And I think people are a little bit, they think he's old-fashioned. They think he's like a relic of a bygone era. And also that he's not someone you can actually trust.
So lots of cards still up in the air on the left. Thank you very much to both of you. We'll see you next week here on Face Off.